Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So as you can tell from the title of today's video, we are going to be talking about the top 10 heroes of all of the books that I have read since starting book 2. We will start with the hero that gave me the idea to do this video, and that is Rafe from Rafe by Rebecca Witherspoon. So this is a male nanny romance between Rafe and Sloane. Sloane is a single mom of 2 twins, and when she comes home from work one day to find her twins have been abandoned by their live-in nanny, she decides to hire Rafe, who is a reformed criminal who has fallen into the career of nannying. And he is tall and buff and he has tattoos, but he is the biggest cinnamon roll ever. He right off the bat tells Sloane that he is into her, and that even though he is into her, he will take care of the girls, the twins, to the best of his ability, and he won't let it affect his work. So they pretty much spark romance right off the bat, and his love for the girls is just so touching, and he's so sweet and so open to listening to Sloane's problems. She is a doctor, so she will come home and kind of unload on him, and he's just makes her dinner. He's very sweet. He takes very good care of her, and he kind of says, you know, I want you in my life, and I want you, period, and whatever way that you can give me is what I want. And he loves the family unit as a whole, and he's just so sweet, such a cinnamon roll, and he might be one of my favorite heroes of any book that I've read so far. Like, he's just so sweet, so cute. So next up of my list of favorite heroes, this is not in any particular order, but I'm gonna save probably the 2 besides Rafe that I love the most towards the end. If you have watched my videos at all, you probably could guess them, but. So next up we have Will from Nightfall by Penelope Douglas. This is the 4th book in the Devil's Night series, so I won't go too into detail in the plot, but this follows the romance between Will and Emery. Will has kind of been on the outskirts of the group, going through various things like drug addiction and things like that, and Emery is someone that he knew from his childhood that is kind of the one that got away. You are following the sequence of events, like of the plot accumulation up to this point, but my absolute favorite part of this book was absolutely the flashbacks, because you are getting to see Will as he's like a young adult. He's 17, 18, and he's such the cutest, sweetest, softest boy, and it made my heart ache because you're getting the flashbacks and then the flash forwards to how he is now, and just the way that life has changed who he is. But he's so sweet and so just like also kind of alpha. Also, Emery is like the perfect alpha woman that I feel like we needed throughout the whole series, and Will is just, it made my heart ache how sweet and soft he is, and how open about his feelings for Emery he was, and he didn't play games, and he was like, I don't care, no matter the situation, I'm always gonna want you, and it just was so sweet, and I absolutely adored him. And then the next up is going to be Sasha from Only for Your Touch by Naima Simone. So this is the 2nd book in the Lick series, and this follows Sasha and Corinne is a mob boss's daughter, and Sasha is a former mob associate, and he kind of is reformed, and him and 2 of his friends from childhood now own an aphrodisiac club. And when Corinne, the mob boss's daughter, comes into the club, they want Sasha to kind of rile her and make sure that she's not getting into anything, because they don't want the mob on their backs trying to strong arm them into doing business and things like that, because they want to be respectable. And Sasha has always been the odd man out, in that he feels like he is more attuned to the mob life and more missing the mob life than the others are. So Corinne presents this danger of him falling back into his old ways with his old crowd, but Corinne is definitely not with the mob life at all. She is very much wanting to be free, and that is a huge theme within the book. But Sasha is a very alpha male in the very beginning. This is a novella. He's a very alpha male, but when Corinne kind of takes over as the dom, he is very happy to be her sub, and just seeing him switch that position is so wow. He was, again, very open with wanting Corinne and wanting to, you know, pleasure her and find out what she wants and give her what she wants and be the sub and kind of let her explore what she wants and be more free than she's ever had in her life. And it was just so, he is just so all right, so next up is Graham from The Gravity of Us by Brittany C. Cherry. This is the last book in the Elements series, but they can be read as standalones. And this follows Graham and Lucy. So Graham is a single father whose wife recently left him and his child, and Lucy is kind of connected to him, and she ends up becoming the nanny for his child, and a relationship sparks from there. This is incredibly slow burn, and there's really only like one sex scene, and this is more like of a fade to black. The evolution of Graham in this book is absolutely astounding. He goes from a very robotic, logical, no emotion, I don't want to see tears, like I don't want to deal with anything like that, to this soft, sweet guy, and he kind of grows and starts to live again through his daughter, and it is absolutely so sweet. And just seeing him fall in love with his child and fall in love with life again, and kind of see the different sides of love and family that you can have, and it just was absolutely, he just turned into such a great, loving, honest, open hero, and it just was so, I'm just gonna keep saying so fantastic and so sweet, because that's just how all of these cinnamon roll boys are. But the evolution of their relationship and him, like they personified Grumpy versus Sunshine, and it just was, I loved their dynamic, and I loved him, and I loved watching him grow as the book went on. So next up we have Michael from The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This is the romance between Michael and Stella. Stella has Asperger's, and so she feels like she has never had that great sexual experience, that great sexual relationship where she kind of understands why people want sex and how to be good and how to enjoy it and how to pleasure yourself and all of those things. So she hires Michael, who is an escort. And what I loved most about Michael is that he never questioned anything that Stella did. He never questioned any of her actions. He just accepted that that's who she was, and he didn't like make her feel any type of way. He just, even though he didn't necessarily know that she had Asperger's or was on the spectrum or anything like that, he was just like, okay, this is Stella and I like her for who she is and I want to go forward with her and we'll explore from there. She kind of was like, I don't know what I like and don't like. He made very sure that they stayed within any boundaries that she set for herself and for their relationship, and the evolution of their relationship was so sweet because he was just so like, you know, this is her and I like her and I want to be with her, and he was just so caring and understanding and sweet and just So I tried not to put too many heroes from the same series or from the same author on this list, but sometimes a hero just grips you and you just have to, you know? And so next up is Tristan from The Air He Breathes, which is also by Brittany C. Cherry and also in the Elements series. This is the first book. This, I would say, is significantly heavier than The Gravity of Us. This follows Tristan and Liz, and both of them have lost a spouse. Tristan has lost a spouse and a son, and Liz has lost a spouse and she has a living daughter. And Tristan moves in next door to Liz, and he is a recluse, and everyone around town kind of just calls him, you know, mean and grumpy, and no one really wants to associate with him just because he has such a bad attitude. But Liz is kind of determined to open him up and pull him out of his shell because she knows what it's like to deal with grief and with wanting to shut yourself away. And so they, throughout their relationship, you know, sexual relationship, they start replacing each other in place of their spouse. So like there will be scenes where they're seeing their spouse like mid-sex and things like that. And it eventually goes from there where they, you know, become genuine people in each other's eyes, and the relationship blooms from there. Absolutely adored Michael. I felt for Michael the entire time, and it broke my heart the things that he was going through, because he had such a genuine love for his family, and he didn't know how to deal with his grief. He didn't know how to get beyond his grief. And so you're seeing him locking himself away and trying to just exist. And he slowly opens up through his relationship with Liz and Liz's daughter, and you see him kind of like realizing that there is goodness out there, and just because the family that you had is no longer with you, you are worthy of having another one. That won't replace the family that you had before, but you shouldn't have to be alone the rest of your life. And he's dealing with a lot of survivor's guilt and getting over the survivor's guilt, but he's so sweet. And once she breaks down that grumpy personality and gets him kind of going through their shared grief, he becomes such a loving character to Liz and her daughter. He kind of takes on that protector role of them both, and he's just watching him go from this grief-stricken person to opening back up is just absolutely gorgeous. So next up is a historical romance, and my hero is Ash, and he is from the Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. I have read the entire series. I think it's called Girl Meets Duke, and he's definitely my favorite hero. I think the plot lines in the other ones are better, but he's my favorite hero. And this follows Ash and Emma. Emma is a seamstress who in the beginning of the book sewed a wedding dress for Ash's fiance, and the wedding gets called off, but she kind of still wants to get paid. So she takes the wedding dress, she gets in the wedding dress, she takes it to his estate and basically says like, you gotta pay me, like you're gonna pay me for this dress. And so they end up getting engaged and have an arranged marriage because he needs an heir and she needs a husband, essentially. Ash is another one of those heroes that is really closed off. He has scars on his face, and so he feels like everybody thinks he is monstrous and he is ugly, so he never wants to show his face to anybody, and he doesn't think that anybody could love him because he is scarred. And you see all of the good deeds that he's doing for his community, you know, wearing a mask and things like that. And so you kind of just get right to the like soft underbelly and that heart of his character. And once Emma kind of shows him like, I do love you and your scars are just a part of who you are, and I love every part of you, he really opens up and kind of, he goes from that charitable good guy in the darkness to that good guy in the light, and it's absolutely beautiful. How many times do I need to say this? Please do not take a shot for every time I say absolutely beautiful or absolutely anything, because you will be passed out by the end of this video. All right, and then the last one, and we will get into my top 2, but my next one up is Lorenzo from Menace by J.M. Darhauer. This is a mafia romance following Lorenzo and Morgan. Lorenzo is a mob boss, and Morgan is a sex worker who is trying to escape something in her past. And so she kind of joins up in his little crew, and they have a romance. And the thing that I love about Lorenzo, he has a scar on his eye, and so he really kind of uses that to his advantage. He also walks with a cane, so he has like this very menacing atmosphere around him, and he definitely uses that to his advantage. But once you are in his inner circle, he is so witty and funny and charming and protective, and there are scenes where he's talking about going and robbing someone or beating someone up, and he's doing a puzzle, or just little things like that are just make his character so dynamic and so lovable. And so on page you're like, dang, he's beating people up, but then he's doing a puzzle, and it's so cute. So I absolutely loved his character. I love his relationship, and I love him with Morgan. I think they are the perfect complement to each other. I didn't read the second book in the series just because some of the plot lines that were introduced just really aren't my thing, but I absolutely love their relationship, and I love Lorenzo. So let's get into my top 2. These are the best of the best, the swoon worthy, the pinnacle, all right? So my second best is going to be Xander from Go Deep by Rosie Adams. This is a short novella and it follows Xander and Nevaeh. Nevaeh is a romance author who has kind of lost her groove, and she recruits the help of her best friend Xander to bring her mojo back, get those juices flowing so that she can crank out those bestsellers again. And when the book starts, they don't really have many feelings for each other. They're kind of friends, and he kind of recognizes, like, in a distance way that she's attractive and all that kind of stuff. But once the romance actually starts, like, once he basically is like, if we're doing this, I'm going hard, like, you're gonna get your mojo back. And it's so sexy, and watching him just, like, for lack of a better phrase, work her over is just so, ugh. And he himself is so sweet, and he just, like, wants to show her the best. He wants the best for her. He wants to be the best. He wants to be something that she'll never forget. And slowly over time they develop feelings for each other, and their care and their love for each other is just so deep and so sweet. And he is, I say this every time, but there's a restaurant scene, and if you have ever read this, you'll know what I'm talking about, but I think about it every day. Like, just. And the very last hero on my list is going to be Pike from Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. So this is the story of Pike and Jordan. Oh, I remembered their names. Oh my God. I had to look up all the names for the other ones, and I remembered Pike, but I was like, I didn't know what the girl's name was, so I was just gonna have to, like, read the back, but I actually remembered without looking. I'm big brain. So this follows Jordan and Pike, and they end up running into each other on Jordan's birthday. She's turning 19 at a movie theater, and she's all alone, and so they end up kind of buddying up together, and they have a great time in the movies. He's noticeably older than her. She thinks he's like 40-ish, and they're walking out of the movie theater, and she gets a call saying that her boyfriend is in jail and he needs to be picked up. Simultaneously, he's getting the same call because her boyfriend is his son, and so he ends up offering a spare bedroom to them in his house, and so they move in with him, and it goes from there. And I love Pike. Like, his character is just scrumptious and delicious, and oh, the tension in this book is just impeccable. His character sometimes really annoying. Like, he's a little bit alpha, and he's a little protective over her. Like, when other men look at her, he gets a little angry, and he's just, there's so much going on with his character, his bad relationship with his son, his bad relationship with his ex-wife that he feels like he can't do anything about, but all he knows that he can do is love his son. But also he has this thing going on with Jordan where he feels like they're perfect for each other and just his perfect girl, and there's the age gap, and oh, he is just, it just blows the other ones out of the water. And I know I really haven't been talking about his personality all that much, but he is so... If you don't get any other recommendations from this video, we'll read this book. This book is perfection. And it's, like, considered taboo, but it's definitely, like, taboo light. And there's no cheating or anything like that, so if that's something that you're adverse to, I would not be worried about that. But this is just so good. And Pike is just, yes. So those are my favorite romantic heroes. Comment your thoughts down below on any of the heroes that I talked about in this video. If you've read any of these books, what you thought about the heroes. Who are your favorite heroes? I would love to know. I probably missed some off of this list. Let me know down in the comments below. But other than that, I will catch you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching.